So that's pretty much it. Aside from that, there are a few verses that you need to be aware of if you're going to be laning publicly, certain verses that are done differently than the rest of the book of Esther. Traditions vary from synagogue to synagogue, from congregation to congregation. If you're going to be laning publicly, you'll want to talk to the local rabbi to find out what the local customs are. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the customs are that I learned from my rabbi. First, there are 4 verses of victory. And the verses of victory are not read any differently, but you pause before you say the verse, the congregation recites the verse aloud, and then the reader recites it aloud. Those verses are chapter 2, verse 5, chapter 8, verse 15, chapter 8, verse 16, and chapter 10, verse 3. Those are the 4 verses of victory. Congregation says it aloud, and then the reader says it. There are also certain verses which are verses of mourning, which are recited instead of using the regular Megillat trop. You use the trop for Eicha, Lamentations. Those verses are chapter 1, verse 7. V'hashkot b'chlei zahav v'chelim kelim sonim v'yein malchut rav ki yad hamelech. Chapter 2, verse 6. Asher hagla mirushalayim im hagla asher hagleta im Yechonya melech Yehuda asher hagla Nebuchadnezzar melech Bavel. Chapter 3, the second half of verse 15, starts off with the regular Megillat trop. והרצים יצאו דחופים בדבר המלך והדת ניתנה בשושן הבירה והמלך והמן ישבו לשתות והעיר שושן נבוכה. Chapter 4, verse 1. ומרדכי ידע את כל אשר נעשה ויקרא מרדכי את בגדיו וילבש שק ואפר ויצא בתוך העיר ויזעק זעקה גדולה ומרה. Chapter 4, verse 3. וכל מדינה ומדינה מקום אשר דבר המלך ודתו מגיע אבל גדול ליהודים בצום ובכי ומספד שק ואפר יוצא לרבים. Chapter 4, the second half of verse 16. לכנוס את כל היהודים הנמצאים בשושן וצומו עליי ואל תאכלו ואל תשתו 3 ימים לילה ויום גם אני ונערותי אצום כן ובכן אבוא אל המלך אשר לא חדל וכאשר עבדתי. And that is it for the verses of mourning. Aside from that, 2 other verses that you should be aware of. Chapter 6, verse 1 is considered a verse of particular importance. It's when the miracle actually happens, and so it is read using a slightly different cantillation. Balaylahu naddida shenat hamelech vayomer lehavi et sefer hazichronot divrei hayamim, and then it continues on. And finally, the last verse that you should be aware of is in chapter 9, verse 26, where you have Al Kain Kara'u Le'amim Ha'ile Purim Hashem Hapur Al Kain Al Kol Divrei Ha'igeret Hazot. And when you get to the words Ha'igeret Hazot, which means this letter, meaning the book of Esther, then you are supposed to either lift up the Megillah that you're reading from, or shake it, or somehow indicate to it saying this letter, Ha'igeret Hazot. And that is pretty much all you have to know about how to lane Megillat Esther. And have a Freilich and Purim, and have a lot of fun.